Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desadharine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I did a little survey after the Balarama Purnima class at the temple. The little survey was how many people, not how many, but of the people that I asked, how many of the persons could understand anything? And it wasn't a high mark. So, this is, my anticipation was the audience this evening is going to be some of the same, but also some newer persons. And so this is a for newer persons orientation, a little bit of some, because the details are nice. The details are nice. Right, Shirupa? Vidura and Rohini were brother and sister. What? Right in Prabhupada's report. But he doesn't give the explanation. But Jiva Goswami gives that explanation in his commentary on the very same verse. And if you want to know, ask Sri Rupa. She knows. She was scratching her head and pulling her hair around. So I forwarded and then a little discussion back and forth. They weren't brother and sister. They were cousins. Because in Vedic culture, cousins were considered brother and sister, first cousin. And as an example, Kamsa, on the day of the wedding, was driving his sister, Devaki. Devaki and Kamsa were brother and sister. They're cousins. Because Kamsa's father and Devaki's father were brothers. So they're cousins. Brother and sister. Right, Paul? That's family for you. And so this is part 2, or the day after Balarama Purnima. So this is some of the same information that will be presented, some additional information, or something a little less complicated. But I thought people would be interested. Some people were very interested. Some people were scratching their head. I started asking because right as soon as I was walking out of the temple to go to the next activity, Jitendra, who was taking some prasad to some friends in the neighborhood, I guess. You know what that means, right? He's got a lot of friends in the neighborhood. They like him. He brings lots of prasad. He always got his glasses up on the top of his head, saying, I couldn't follow. So this is something you should all be able to follow. So here's Krishna book. One cannot attain the supreme platform of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. Bala does not mean physical strength. One must have spiritual strength, which is infused by Balaram, or Sankarshana. I'm going to keep it simple. Some years ago, I was taking Ayurvedic treatment in Bombay, because there was Bombay is not a healthy place, but there was a clinic that was a little bit removed, and I was staying with some friends. And the friends wanted me going to the clinic and coming back to their home. So they decided they wanted, like, encouraging me to go see this fellow that teaches yoga out in the jungle. Bombay has, at that time at least, had some. It was an example. Jungle was a little remote, like coming to Grayslake. It took a while to get there. And here we were, like suburban local, Wow. So we went. So when we get there, this yoga instructor, yogi, was teaching this other idea, based upon a verse from Scripture that said that in order to be successful in spiritual life, you have to be strong. So he was like a bodybuilder kind of yogi. I said, you must not be reading Krishna book. It wasn't a Vishnu Bhakta or Krishna Bhakta or Balarama Bhakta. It was teaching how to make the body strong. But Balaram, spiritual, the supreme platform of self-realization, requires the favor of Balaram, spiritual strength. Spiritual strength. That's it. Balaram or Sankarshan is the source of all spiritual power, or the original spiritual master. As Nityananda is to Lord Chaitanya, as Lakshmana is to Ram, so Balaram is to Krishna. They like to give the one who they're serving to others. Give that mood of service to others, serving Krishna. That's the function of Guru. So the original Guru that's Lord Balaram. And others are deriving the capacity to perform that function from Balaram. And that requires spiritual strength. There's a nice passage in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela that discusses the Hare Krishna mantra. You're probably familiar with it. If not, you're going to become a little more familiar with it. In the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Lord Ramachandra, or Rama, is mentioned. Then some people say Rama means Ramachandra. And some people say Rama means Balarama. So in his commentary, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada writes, if someone says that the Rama in the Hari Rama I'll read it anyways. If the Rama in Hari Rama is Lord Ramachandra and someone else says the Rama and Hari Rama is Sri Balaram, both are correct. Because there's no difference between Sri Balaram and Lord Rama. Here, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find Krishnadas Kaivaraj Goswami has stated the same conclusion. This is all from that same purport. Ye ye rupe jane se taha kahe. Sakala sambhave Krishna kichu mithya nahi. In whatever form one knows the Lord, one speaks of him in that way. In this there is no falsity, since everything is possible in Krishna. Sounds like a cover-up. No, everything is possible in Krishna. Is there something impossible? If someone calls Lord Ramachandra by the vibration, Hari Rama, understanding it to mean, oh, Lord Ramachandra, he's quite right. Similarly, if someone says that Hari Rama means, oh, Sri Balaram, he's also right. Those who are aware of Vishnu Tattva do not fight over all these details. Just on a personal note, last year at Balaram's appearance day, I was in Alachua. And I know that because although I have a bad memory, I have a full computer that has a really good memory. And there's there's an Alachua file under Balaram. And there's all the classes for like 8, 9 classes just on Balaram, the different pastimes, along with the Tattva part. And before that, the year before that, I was in Houston, Texas. And in the sannyas quarters where I stay in Houston, they build a whole building just for sannyasis, Houston. And without all the... Hanuman Preshik Swami now resides in Houston. And he stays right over here, and I stay right over here. And when Giriraj Maharaj was regularly come, he had a special place just past the library down to that end, and so they can accommodate 3 sannyasis just on the ground floor. The second floor, down ground floor, is the pujari and his family. And they're quiet people. They're nice. So this is a painting that's on the wall. It's a Pushkar painting. I mean, if you know Pushkar, but that means it's very colorful. Pushkar paintings are very colorful. And you can get lost in the details of his painting. And so started from a previous couple of years of Balaram's appearance day, staying in Houston, and sitting in front of this picture chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And it was for sure, it was Balaram, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the painting is so beautiful and so powerful. The personalities, kind of the name and the personality and the form and everything, I have a special relationship with this painting. So some of you may also have some painting that has some spiritual experience for you, and this is one of those for me. And I like chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in front of this painting. It's a nice painting. Balaram just looking at Krishna. Krishna's playing upon his flute. The cows are very peaceful. There's some others in the background, and a very beautiful scene, Vrindavan forest scene. It's a nice painting. From Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, here's a nice description of Balaram's form. I take shelter of Baladev, the enemy of Pralamba. On the edge of his cheek, dangles one earring. The lotuses decorating his ears are covered with bees. His tilak is made of musk. On his broad chest shines the gunja berry necklace. His complexion is as white as an autumn cloud. His cloth is blue. His voice is deep, and his arms hang down to his knees. Now, I showed this slide at the Chicago temple too, because I remember this hands or arms hanging down to one's knees. This is a sign of there are multiple features of a Mahapurusha. That's one of the multiple features. Mahapurusha. Try it sometime. Your arms don't go down to your knees. We're not Mahapurushas, sorry. Don't qualify. Now, in Radhakund, there's a Gopinath temple. Any of you here, raise your hand. You know where this Gopinath temple is around the perimeter of the Radhakund? Yes, a few. It's a very nice place. This is a painting of the altar. And on the altar, there's Radha on Krishna's left, and on Krishna's right is the Ananga Manjari. And Balaram expands himself as Ananga Manjari. And as the younger sister of Radharani, Balaram assists in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And so Balaram, he's engaged in all 5 rasas. Now, not many personalities can lay claim to that one. But so conjugal rasa and the parental rasa, because he's the elder brother. And as the elder brother, he likes protecting. Sometimes he does other things that are in a different rasa, but that's one of the rasas that he carries. And he's a dear friend, like the Cowherd Boys, one of the Cowherd Boys. And he likes serving. And he really likes serving. He really likes serving in all capacities. And so he manifests the Dham. And that's the 5th. So on the bank of Radhakund, this is the Ananga Manjari is on the right side of Gopinath, and Radharani is on the left side. Now, commonly in paintings of Balaram, we find these 2 implements in his hand. Sometimes there's a club instead of what you see. This is an instrument for plowing the field, Krishi Goraksha. So the plow, we're going to hear some more about Balaram's plow, but the plow and instruments for agriculture. One of the ways in the Balaram is considered one of the principal Leela avatars, and you know the place where the principal Leela avatars are glorified. There's the Das Avatar Stotra, and I couldn't find a better one, so you'll have to put up with the one that here. But there's a little recording here, and really high voices, but you can follow along. Can you see the screen okay? Okay, good. Oh, phooey. Double phooey. Okay, you don't get to hear these ladies singing their high voices. It's just not playing for some reason. You want to do it? Come around. He's a magician. He knows how to... Go ahead, turn it around so you can see it. Sound settings. Nice try. Sometimes you can do magic. I'll just read the translation. Oh, Keshava. Keshava Drita Haladara Rupa. Oh, Lord of the universe. Oh, Lord Hari, who assumed the form of a plow-wielding Balaram. Keshava Drita Haladara Rupa. All glories to you. On your brilliant white body you wear garments colored like a fresh rain cloud, and the river Yamuna, so dark colored, dark blue, whom you frightened with the blows of your plow. So you know the pastime? And here's the pastime. The pastime was Krishna and Balaram were in Dwarka, and Krishna knew very well, because he was feeling separation from his associates in Vrindavan, particularly the gopis, and they were feeling his separation particularly. So he wanted something like what he did with Uddhava. He sent Balaram with a message for the gopis. And one of the services that he requested him to do, Balaram had his own set of gopis, and he engaged himself in rasa dance with his own set of gopis. And when he was engaged in rasa dance, something happened there. There was a tree supplied Varuni beverage, and he was drinking the Varuni beverage, and he got a little tipsy. And when he got a little tipsy, he was perspiring as hot in Vrindavan. He wanted to take bath in the river Jamuna. So he called the river Jamuna to come near. She didn't come near. So Balaram became angry. He took his plow and started dragging the Jamuna River. He didn't shout or anything. He just used his plow and started dragging the Jamuna River. And so she recognized, I made a mistake. She came before him. This is one of the older BBT paintings. And this is one of the newer BBT paintings on the same pastime. And here's the European BBT painting. And she's offering the following prayer. Rama, Rama, O mighty-armed one, I know nothing of your prowess. With a single portion of yourself, Enkanksena, you hold up the earth. O Lord of the universe. O soul of the universe, I didn't understand your position as the supreme Godhead, but now I have surrendered unto you, and you're always kind to your devotees. So don't hit me with your club, please. And he softened, and everything was nice, and he took his bath in the river Jamuna, and they all lived happily ever after. Now his plow, just because there's some emphasis on his plow from that Dasavatar Stotra song, along with the plow in the river Jamuna, Balaram used his plow to pull the entire city of Hastinapur into the Ganges. You know the story. There was some conflict with Duryodhana, and the situation brought Vasudeva and Ugrasena to the point of desiring to bring their entire army and start a war and smash Duryodhana. They're the whole of Hastinapur, but they're relatives, they're cousins, brothers, cousins. So Balaram he likes being a peacemaker. Sometimes peacemakers are successful, sometimes not successful. So he came with a peace message, and he wasn't received warmly. So, Balaram had some partiality, yes, but he didn't exhibit partiality. He started dragging the whole city of Hastinapur into the Ganges with his plow, and they got the message. Don't mess with Balaram. And so they came forward, and whatever he wanted, and he got what he wanted, and his plow is useful. When sometimes you're chastising of the enemies, or those that are in the position that should be properly behaving, and they're not properly behaving with him. He did the same thing with, who was the person, you all know the story, with just a piece of grass. He pierced the heart of one Ramaharshan Sutta. So Balaram knows how to chastise. It doesn't always use his plow. He can just use a piece of grass. And just as Krishna has his flute, Balaram commonly, not always, but commonly, there's a nice devotee that's in Gita Nagari. And for Balaram Jayanti, they sent me pictures. I don't know if you have people that stay here and there, but when people send pictures, they send like 16 of them. They were on the altar yesterday at Radha Damodar Temple in Gita Nagari. They had a nice festival and Julan Yatra and so forth and so on. But on the altar, there were, I think she said, 16 plows on Balaram Jayanti. That was like their way of honoring Lord Balaram. He liked plows. And plows like him. Don't cross Balaram, because you're going to meet his plow. Here's a nice verse, amongst many nice verses. I like this verse a lot. Prabhupada liked this verse a lot. You know, that you see in yellow, Krita Punya Punja verse. This is from Canto 10, Chapter 12, and it's leading up to the Agasura Leela, in Chapter 12. And the activities described before verse 11 is the playful activities of the boys. You know, it begins like this. Krishna would leave the house. He wouldn't blow a conch shell. He blew a buffalo horn. Boo! And the boys knew what that meant. It's time to go play. And the play was taking care of the calves. This is his Poganda age. Specifically, it's nice. I'll say a few extra embellishing things. Krishna had a natural affinity for the cows, and the cows had a natural affinity for Krishna. But so Krishna asked his father, he's the king of the cowherds, he wanted to herd the cows. And you know how little children can be insistent over and over and over and over and over. You know that one. His father would say no, and then finally his father said, okay, you can take care of the calves. And so that was it. He took care of the calves. They had a big festival. He's going to take up the family occupation and herd the calves. So that was the procedure. It started the fourth year. This pastime with the Agasura demon, the pastime that's being discussed in this beginning of this chapter, he's 4 years, 4 months, so he's been doing it. But so that the everyday activity was his mother would wake him. You'll see some nice paintings of Mother Yasoda being Mother Yasoda, getting him ready for his day's activity and pampering him and thising and thating and the other thing. And this particular morning, Krishna made a request that I want to go out without having breakfast. So can you pack a little lunch bag? And she agreed. She probably had a little, wait a minute, that's part of my fun every day is preparing your lunch and feeding you. But she agreed. So playing and playing and playing, because the activities of the cowherd boys, Balaram, Krishna, and all of their friends, is they would just play. And the calves were so attached to Krishna and Balaram and the other boys, they just tagged along. Wherever they went, wherever the boys went, they went. So they didn't have to herd the calves. They just played. And then there's this type of play and that type of play and that type of play. And it's a really nice, very, very nice verse. Itam satam brahma sukhanu bhutya dasyam gatanam paradayavatena. Prabhupada quoted this verse, especially the Krita Punya Punja part. Here is, the narration, the commentary goes like this. He's describing the children's activities, and then he kind of enters into a trance-like state. He stops speaking about their activities, and he's just going to describe how amazing it is that the impersonalists, the great sages, they like the impersonal feature, but they can't associate with Krishna in a playful way. And the materialists, they think of Krishna as a product of material nature. They're way off. And these boys have an understanding not only of the majesty of the Supreme, but they play with him. They play with him. They're very special. I'm tempted to get distracted. I'll get distracted a little bit. The cowherd boys, they're eternal associates. As Krishna has a body of Satchit Ananda, the cowherd boys have bodies of Satchit Ananda. It's as if, key phrase, as if they have material forms, and they grow, and then later they become young men, and then later they become what they become. A body that grows. But they have spiritual bodies, and their spiritual bodies manifest. Their spiritual bodies manifest transformation, and they're not material. They're not material body. There's not a soul covered by a material body. They're spiritual bodies, cowherd boys. So it's a very special position. And the teaching is, one may become an assistant to the eternal associates of Krishna through the process of Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, but they're the Ragatmika fellows. They're the perfected eternal associates of Krishna. And when Krishna appears, they appear. And when Krishna disappears, they disappear. They're manifest and then withdrawn from their manifest state. But they're eternal associates of Krishna, eternally engaged in his activities, in the uppercut feature in Vrindavan. So they're very, very fortunate. The cowherd boys are very, very fortunate. We're going to spend a little bit of time discussing their good fortune, because we're going to go through a little bit the childhood pastimes of Krishna, because Vrindavan is such a nice place to begin. So the advent of Krishna and Balaram occurs in a circumstance where Mother Earth was too much disturbed by demoniac kings. We all know the narration in the Bhagavatam. And so she went to the demigods. The demigods went to Lord Brahma and the demigods, that's on the right side, they went to the shore of the Milk Ocean. That's on the left side, in case you didn't recognize. That's the Milk Ocean. See the fish? Milk Ocean. And there's Lord Vishnu worshipping the feet of Lord Vishnu as the goddess of fortune, Rama. And by his side is Garuda, and so forth. And they're offering prayers to Lord Vishnu, and he responds, yes, I'll take care of the situation. And all of you demigods, please inform all the demigods, they should take birth on earth first and assist me in my pastime. So, in other words, they can directly participate. So their expansions of them took birth on earth and took part in Krishna's pastimes. It's a nice detail. When it came time for Krishna's departure, one of the things that happened at the time of Krishna's departure is that some of who are the eternal associates, they entered into the uppercut stage. And some were partial expansions of the demigods, and those partial expansions of the demigods went back to the planets of the demigods. There are different destinations when Krishna's pastimes were concluded. So Krishna takes his birth, but that's next week. And Balaram took his birth first, and there's a big festival. And so there's lots of nice description of, you see Balaram is there on the left, held by Rohini, and there's Mother Yashoda, very interesting way for a child to take a bath, holding up the child over a basin and pouring water on the child, and other ladies participating, etc., etc. Mothers and children do things in different ways at different times. Then came an occasion where Nanda Maharaj, by this time Krishna and Balaram are both in Gokula, and on the left is Rohini holding Balaram, and on the right, that's Nanda Maharaj offering a suggestion. The occasion was Nanda Maharaj had come to Mathura to pay his annual taxes. And when he was there, he went to see his good friend, Vasudev. Vasudev didn't say, oh, by the way, you know that 8th child of Devaki, it's my child. He didn't say. But he did say, did you perform the name-giving ceremony? And I recommend that you have Gargamuni do the name-giving ceremony for these two boys, Krishna Balaram. But she's shy. Okay. But you should do it in a private place. So the private place was a cowshed. That's the cows in the back. So Gargamuni did the name-giving ceremony, and when he gave the name for Balaram, he gave 3 names. This child, the son of Rohini, will give all happiness to his relatives and friends by his transcendental qualities. Therefore, he'll be known as Rama, because he will manifest extraordinary bodily strength. He'll also be known as Bala, so Balarama. And because he unites 2 families, Vasudev's family and the family of Nanda Maharaj, he didn't spell it out, but he's indicating to Nanda, who didn't know all of what Vasudev knows, but that's okay. He didn't. He just said he'll be known as Sankarshana. So 3 names for his name-giving ceremony. And the 2 boys, Balaram as the elder brother and Krishna as the younger brother, they were intimate associates, very, very loving associates in everything, including with their childhood, just crawling. Again, this is the Bala Leela before the Poganda Leela. And the Bala Leela, they would do mischievous things. Here's one nice painting. Krishna would like to go to where the calves were, and he yanked on the tail of the calf. And when the tail of the calf gets yanked, it gets startled. And so he jumps. And when he jumps, he starts to run. Krishna was, hold on, go for a ride. And the ladies were seeing, oh no. And Krishna would just be smiling. And Balaram can understand he's just going for a ride. And in different ways, they'd engage in mischief. Naturally, boys will be boys, right? Some of you have boys as children, so you know what I mean. Boys will be boys. And when a little bit older, one of the favorite activities of Krishna and Balaram was breaking into the storeroom where the parents kept their dairy products. And one of the systems was they would hang it in clay pots from the rafters because that keeps away ants and other little creatures that crawl around. So that was not a problem for the boys. They'd climb up and tip over the pots that were carrying the dairy products. And the monkeys, you see those little monkeys at the bottom, very politely holding out his hand saying, "Can I have some too?" Usually monkeys don't do like that. So celebrated pastimes where they're trying to steal, but because their bodily effulgence was so strong, you could see the neighboring ladies in the background, they couldn't hide in it because they're effulgent. And here's Mother Yashoda on the prowl. She heard these things. And again, there's a nice monkey politely holding out his hand, saying, "Can I have some?" Balaram hiding behind the pillar. Another nice painting. She's got this little stick in her hand. Look at these boys, just like, and they're the monkeys. Monkeys don't do like that. At least the monkeys that I've met, they're not. A little while. So childhood pastimes include, now this is childhood pastime, particularly with Balaram. One celebrated pastime with Balaram was when the boys were playing and they informed Mother Yashoda that Krishna had eaten dirt, and no mother that hears from other children playing with her son, Krishna's eaten dirt, she's very concerned. And she confronted him. And he said, "They're liars. It's not true. I didn't eat dirt." You know the pastime. And she said, "Wait a minute. This is your brother, Balaram. He's not going to make up a story. So you've eaten dirt." "I didn't eat dirt." "Look inside my mouth." So she looked inside his mouth and she saw what the painting shows. Like the entire cosmic manifestation inside Krishna's mouth. He got a big mouth. And as they go along, Krishna becomes a little bit older and he starts getting to the age where he can look after the cows. And in taking care of the cows, one of the favorite places they like to go is deep, deep into the forest. This is now the change of age. So Gopastami is one of the festivals in our Vaishnav calendar. It's when Krishna graduates. It's a big, big, big festival. And Krishna is going to take care of the cows. He's saying, take care of the calves. Poganda. So here's some very nice paintings. Mother Jasoda being Mother Jasoda. So she would wake him and then bathe him and then dress him and then feed him. And Balaram would sometimes get into the act putting on in ankle ornaments. The cowherd boys, the sun is up. Let's go, Krishna. Mother Jasoda is too busy giving all this paraphernalia and this buffalo horn and this nice garland and making sure everything is just right. Another nice painting. We're going to see several versions of this. So Mother Jasoda is the principal person. There's Balaram over the left, like, let's go. But they're busy pampering. And sometimes the cowherd boys, some of the older cowherd boys would get into the scene. And I like Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, how he narrates this. Mother, it's time to go now. And she'd run out and adjust his garland or run out and do a few more steps. And Mother, it's time to go now. He's very reciprocating her loving exchange, but the cows, they're not going to wait too long. And So off they go, taking care of the cows. And again, the taking care of the cows is something always Balaram is by his side. And they go deep into the Vrindavan forest. And there's this saying that you've heard many times, probably, in the pastimes of Krishna, every step is a dance, every word is a song, and that's the mood of Vrindavan. And as Krishna gets a little bit older, this is a pastime that takes place, very nice pastime place, Sankarikor. This is where the gopis they've milked the cows and they're carrying the dairy products to go to the marketplace, and Krishna and Balaram stop them and say they got to pay a tax. Why do we have to pay you a tax? Because I'm the son of the king of Praja, and he's the king, and I'm extracting a tax. So you have to give me some of your dairy products. And there's, who with her hands on her hips, giving Krishna the sauce. And so, the discussion, this argument, and Krishna, with his stick, he breaks one of the pots, and the gopis let Krishna have it. And so, pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, particularly pastimes directly involving Balaram, are very sweet and wonderful. You see one of the cowherd boys behind, he has a shaved head. You all know who that one is, right? Madhamangal. So he has a special place in this whole pastime at Varsana. It's a nice pastime. I'll go into the whole pastime. As Lord Chaitanya had 2 wives, as Lord Nityananda had 2 wives, so Balaram had 2 wives. And one of those 2 wives, her name was Revati. And you see Revati looks pretty small compared to Balaram. And the history is Revati was the daughter of King Kukudmi. And King Kukudmi recognized that his daughter was very, very special. And he wanted to seek permission from Lord Brahma who his daughter should marry. So he, Kukudmi, had powers. He went all the way to Brahmaloka. And when he got to Brahmaloka, Brahma was involved in some concert. There's some Gandharvas was singing, and he had to wait until they were done. Can't interrupt Lord Brahma's pastimes. And when Lord Brahma was finished with the concert, he turned to Kukudmi and said, "What can I do for you?" And he explained, I've come to seek permission from you who my daughter, who's very, very qualified, should marry. And the response was first a big smile, and then loud laughter. And Brahma said, 27 Chatur Yugas have passed since you've come here and this concert's going on. When you go back, no one's going to recognize you or your daughter. But then he made a recommendation that she could marry Balaram. So when he brought her back, Kukudmi, Revati was really big, like giant. And so Balaram tapped his plow on her shoulder and she shrank to normal height for the end of the Dwarpa Yuga, because previous Yuga people were taller and bigger. And in Unchagaon, how many of you have been to Unchagaon? Oh, really? If Krishna permits, next year, the yatra is going to be in Vrindavan. And there's one of the reasons why it wasn't in Vrindavan this year is the Chinese government. What? because the Chinese government wasn't issuing visas, and vice versa. India wasn't issuing visas to the Chinese people. So that they broke that gridlock, and the visas are, they expect that in the later part of this year, they'll start issuing visas back and forth. So the Chinese devotees can come. So the plan goes something like this. The Chinese national holiday, the people that are workaholics, they have 7 days they don't work. Because it's national holidays. When Mao took over and the Communist Party and big celebration, 7-day celebration. Like a Bhagavad Saptaha, right? So they have vacation. So they'll, if things move nicely, we'll have a Chinese national holiday 7-day event in Vrindavan. And then Guru Das made the suggestion, maybe you can then spend a few days in Jaipur, where the deities that were in Vrindavan have shifted, a number of them have shifted to Jaipur. We'll visit the deities and tell the story about the personalities that established those deities. And Jaipur is another nice place. Come back, have a japa retreat for the Chinese devotees and everybody else from the world, and then a yatra that ends the month. A whole month, almost, with a little visit to Jaipur, a whole month in Vrindavan. So for sure, reasonably, because Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj is going to be part of us, and I can put it on the list. Please be with us. Please, when you come with us, please take us to Unchagaon. It's a very nice place. It's one of his favorite places. And here's a photo of the deities in Unchagaon. There's Revati by the side of Balaram in Unchagaon. And in the southern part of Vrindavan, there's another nice temple, Balaram and Varuni. It's one of the deities. There's different accounts, but one of the deities that Vajranabha, the great grandson of Krishna, established personally. And the deity is there's very, very large deity, very beautiful deity, and you see that in his hand there's a cup. It's not a plow. He's got Varuni beverage he likes. So Varuni is not just a beverage, it's one of his wives. Revati and Varuni are the two wives. And in the Tota Gopinath temple in Puri, there's the deity of Balaram and the two Revati and Varuni by his side. Now this shows he's not playing a flute, but it's some kind of an instrument in the Tota Gopinath temple in Puri. And we're almost done. There's some very nice photos of Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan. A close-up photo. They're decorated always very wonderfully and splendorously, and this is another place where the devotees become so absorbed because they're the principal deity. Krishna Balaram Mandir, they're the principal deity, and so they're dressed very gorgeously with the very expensive and hard to find flowers, but they manage, because they have a good, nice deity budget, fantastic flowers every day for Krishna Balaram. One last thing. This is a Prabhupada question. So he asked the devotees. This isn't during class, it was in his quarters in Vrindavan. Who is stronger, Krishna or Balaram? And of course you say Balaram because he's Balaram, he has all strength. Then you say, look at the deity. And Balaram is leaning on Krishna. So Krishna is stronger. Because he's the source of everything, including everything. So these are some nice topics. There's many, many other topics. And I think tomorrow, Sunday feast program, I haven't decided yet, but some other topics related to Lord Balaram, or in honor of Balaram's appearance day. Not sure. Dhanukasura, I'm thinking to narrate. It's a nice pastime. The whole pastime from beginning to end. And because Balaram is there are two demons that are killed by Balaram, not by Krishna. And Dhanukasura is one of those two. And there's a reason why, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Krishna deals with most of the demons, but the Balaram Tattva feature is something that a devotee needs to personally do. And Balaram gives the strength to do that which he's supposed to personally do, the devotee is supposed to personally do. But we'll hear more about it tomorrow. Pralambasura and Dhanukasura. Let's see what happens for tomorrow. Well, thank you all for coming. And I was thinking as we were coming here that Rasika Manjari and Goloka were at the temple on Sunday. And to get from here to the temple, it's a journey. So if the temple can come here, that's okay. It's still a journey. So let's see if there's some discussion. Any comments or questions? Subal.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I was going to make this comment and ask a question. I remember back in time in your room in Brooklyn, you used to have a picture of Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys running down the hill with the cows following. Mm. And I remember I was passing and you were standing in front of that picture, and then I stop and you say, won't you like to be there? I would like to be there. So we know in our Gaudiya Vaishnava, there is the focus on entering the Rasa Lila dance, or entering the dance with Krishna, following the footsteps of the gopis. And however, you see Lord Nityananda, his associate with cowherd boys. Is anything in our tradition that also have that focus on the cowherd boys as a aspirational goal in the spiritual, attainment, to be part of that rasa?
I'm tempted to say something that I probably shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it anyways. There was a period of time when some very senior members of ISKCON were speculating what was Prabhupada's rasa. And they put 2 and 2 together and came up with 16. One, the main temple, Prabhupada's temple, was Krishna Balaram. And in the area of Vrindavan, that's Raman Reti, a place where Krishna and Balaram would take the cows every day. And then the emphasis, second or third, emphasis that Prabhupada would repeatedly, Krita Punya Punja, how fortunate. And he would say it with such relish that at least certain senior devotees were speculating and came up with 64 to say that Prabhupada's rasa was a cowherd boy. There's nothing that I know of that Prabhupada indicated anything of his eternal rasa with Krishna, except the main teaching that we all have. That there's many other. That's like 3 times many other expressions where Prabhupada would indicate the glory, this, as you indicated, the glory of the gopis. Srinath Chakravarti and there's nothing. There's many other things on the other side of the pan scale that refute that idea. The prince, what was Prabhupada's eternal rasa with Krishna? But the appreciation for all the residents of Vrindavan. Krishna had appreciation for all the residents, and he reciprocated in kind with each of them, like Mother Yasoda. And etc. Queen Kunti's prayers, her marveling, of course she's in the relationship with Krishna as parental affection, in age-wise and position-wise. So she was especially appreciating the love of Mother Yasoda, and especially appreciating how Krishna was subservient, not only subservient, but he was afraid of that little lati in the hand of Mother Yasoda. So much so he started to cry. And if it was boo-hoo, play acting, crying, that's easy. But it wasn't that. He was afraid. So the loving reciprocation that between Krishna and each of his devotees is fully on the transcendental platform. So if circling back to your question, is there some indication of the very special position of the cowherd boys? Yeah. All the associates of Krishna in Vrindavan, and particularly the gopis, in part because of their love for him. It wasn't a boy-girl thing. It was the intensity of their love was superlative. In the view of great acharyas, and so it's become accepted in general that the followers of Lord Chaitanya have very special regard for the gopis because of the intensity, the selfless intensity of their love. But that's not to say Mother Yasoda was selfish or something. Just the intensity of their selflessness was very extreme. Does that respond to your question?
Hare Krishna.
Go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna Maharaj.
I
Just
will.
a small question from yesterday's lecture. You mentioned that Balaram stayed in the womb of Rohini for 17 months.
14.
14 months.
14 or 17?
14. Okay. That means they are just 6 years, 6 days difference between Krishna.
Well, he was waiting.
Okay.
That was what that statement by Jiva Goswami was he was waiting for that. He wanted to appear as the older brother, but he wanted to appear close to the same age. But he's in the womb of his mother for a longer time. So what happens? The body continues to develop, at least biologically. No. What's your question?
Yeah. See, I just want to confirm they are just 6 days difference.
Well, you count. Ashtami. It's 8 days different.
Okay.
Purnima and Ashtami. What do you think? That's 8, right? Purnima and Ashtami?
8 days.
8 days, thank you.
Guru Maharaj, with respect to the verse in Bhagavad Gita about Krishi Gorakshavanijam Vaishya Karma Svabhajam. So, in the case of Lord Krishna, there was some doubt he was, or Nanda Maharaj assumed he was his son.
Yes.
So he was doing the duty of a Vaishya when he was in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
With Balaram, there was no doubt that he was born in a Kshatriya family. And yet, because he is being raised by a Vaishya family for 12 years, he has a plow. And not only in Vrindavan, even later, Balaram continues to carry his plow. It seems like this Vaishya, svabhava is something that stayed with him. So my question is, we know that it's not by karma. It's not. So is that why, or is that what it illustrates by this pastime of Lord Balaram continuing to carry?
He liked to plow. What can you do? It's just it's in the case. It's kind of like adjusting standards. There's sometimes, for example, sometimes the divinity and sometimes the human-like. This, as already mentioned, Krishna was afraid of the stick in Mother Yasoda's hands. His body trembled. His whole body trembled in his tears, and it wasn't crocodile. So it was human-like. But at the same time, that same human-like person, look inside my mouth, and you see. So there's the balance between the two, and Krishna can seamlessly move between one and the other. No problem. And instantly between one and the other. And no, so when it comes to Balaram and his plow, it's a lila. It's not human. So we can look at it from a human-like standard. Is he a Vaishya or is he a Kshatriya? He's clearly a Kshatriya. So he used his plow as a Kshatriya would use their plow. He didn't use a sword. He didn't use a gun. He used a plow. Dragging Hastinapur into the Ganga. He liked his plow. It was so, whether it was in a Vaishya spirit or a Kshatriya spirit or a transcendental spirit. There's a question back there.
I need a little bit more help to understand the mood of Lord Balaram, because we know that he represents Guru Tattva and he is always in the mood of service to Krishna. But when we hear about his dealings with Yamuna or such pastimes, like Lord Nityananda, who is Lord Balaram himself, he is also known as Avadhuta Shiromani because of his some dealings or nature. So I'm just trying to connect these dots together, that he is always in the mood of service, and plus he is also called as Avadhuta Shiromani. So I'm finding it a little difficult to understand his mood.
Balaram, specifically, not Nityananda.
Both, because they are same.
Don't mix them.
Okay. Are they not non-different?
The same tattva, but the lila is different, and therefore the mood that it goes along with the lila is different. The mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not the identical mission of Krishna, although they're the same entity. So Nityananda, don't mix the two. And Balaram.
Can I I want to understand, go more deeper in mood of Lord Balaram.
Okay, you can stay with that. But connecting dots with Nityananda, let's not go there. So specifically the mood, how are we to understand, is your question, how are we to understand he's the principle of Guru Tattva when he's doing things like dragging the river Jamuna and intimidating her, threatening her, or something like that, or kusagrassing,
His activities are transcendental, of course. but
Yes.
just
So
trying to-
he, Balaram, doesn't. When there's disrespect, he lets people know. Duryodhana one way, Yamuna another way. So, no, it's a lila. It's not like, therefore, someone who becomes qualified as a representative of Balaram needs to do those extreme things to assert their position. That's not the right understanding. But there is a position, and if that position is not recognized, then it can be problematic for the person that doesn't recognize. And that's part of Leela. In Ram's Leela, in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, in Balaram's Leela, the Guru Tattva principle is to be recognized, and failure to do so can be problematic, disastrous. Not necessarily at the moment, but sometime it can be disastrous.
Thank you.
Yeah. So he was correcting the river Jamuna that was not respecting him. He was correcting her so she wouldn't have a problem. She was correct. It worked. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
If you're in the audience, I can count on your raising your hand. And you always have nice questions too.
I'm not so sure if this is going to be a nice question, but thank you for encouraging me.
I put you on the spot, didn't I?
So the phrase Krita Punya Punja, I somehow took a liking to translate it or treat it as devotional points. I was wondering, what is your reaction to that?
Wondering what?
How do you like that?
How do I like what? You're deciding what the words mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea.
No,
I think-
not exactly.
I
but,
think you should hear from the acharyas and derive your understanding from what the acharyas say.
I understand. I'm just saying, in my own understanding, to see that phrase Krita Punya Punja as Prabhupada has translated that as piety, and I'm
It's clear it's not just material piety.
exactly. So I am thinking of that as devotional points.
Okay.
Somehow that seems to resonate a little bit more, trying to quantify the unquantifiable in a way. So I was just wondering your thoughts on that.
I don't understand the question. Do you understand?
So Krita Punya Punja is piety or devotional piety. He's wondering, can I look at it as devotional points, as you get points in a game or something like that? You get sufficient devotional points, and then you might reach the stage of downfall. Is that correct? Prabhu?
Not exactly like cowherd boys, but accumulating piety, devotional piety.
Well, I like to comment. 2 comments. And I don't know if you can like my 2 comments, but that's okay. I'll comment 2 things. One I've already mentioned, I'll say it again. I'll say it explicitly again. The eternal cowherd boys are eternal cowherd boys, just like Mother Yashoda isn't a post that you do enough devotional service and you can become Mother Yashoda. No. One can become an assistant of, but one can't become. Similarly, the cowherd boys, you can't become one of Krishna's eternal associates. They're eternal associates. You can become assistants of those, and in the mood of those, one can become like that, become the followers of, by the process of bhakti, by Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti means, in a transcendental way, to follow the mood and look up to the eternal associates of Krishna and the different features of their rasa with Krishna. And if one is, in fact, constitutionally of that particular rasa, then one can become like the eternal associates. But you don't become the eternal associate. And that's true for each of the rasas. So that's one response. So the becoming by many is to become in that entourage, but not one of the eternal. It's just, it's just a Rupa Goswami's teaching, and it's the position of Krishna's eternal associates. One may enter into those positions. And the second point is the eligibility. We discussed this You got a talkative phone. That little button on the left, you just press it down and I was saying the process of coming to the stage of Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti via sadhana. So there's these three: sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, Prema. So the eligibility for you and me and us to move from the sadhana stage to the Bhava and then Prema stage. There's some, it's detailed, and there's some eligibility requirements. And I want eye contact. You got ear contact, okay. Okay. It's okay, you can look down. I was looking at you, your face. So, there's a nice section. I had some little discussion on this nice section of, even if for a prolonged period of time, many lifetimes prolonged period of time is not sufficient to attract Krishna to the stage of Bhava Bhakti. If there's a lack of intensity of focus on the object, the relationship, the service, without that focus on for whom you are doing the service. If that's lifetimes or extended periods of time without that focus, that's not the eligibility. So, but it's possible Krishna may bestow himself upon such a person, even if they're not wanting him, if they have some material want and therefore there's distraction. If they get to the point where there's focus or the absence of laxity or the proper attachment to Krishna as the person. And that's just my second answer to your question. There's an adjective, a qualifier. To become qualified, it's not just many, many lifetimes. So then it makes it super transcendental and super transcendental to make one eligible to enter into the association, the eternal association of Krishna's eternal cowherd boys. And they're eternally Krishna's cowherd boys.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. I was very clear that I'm not going to be one of those eternal associates. And I think the second answer, actually, basically what you're saying is, it's not just the quantity, but also the quality of the devotional service.
Yeah, I'm saying more than that, but yes, I'm saying that.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, kindly accept my humble obeisance. I have a basic question, but still I wanted to clarify. Non-festival days like Balarama Purnima or Lord Chaitanya's appearance day, when we offer food for,
He wants you to use that microphone.
so when we offer, what should be our mood like, because Balaram or Lord Chaitanya are like incarnations of Krishna, but when we offer, we have to offer to Krishna. So I wanted to know what should be our mood when we offer to, and on festival days like, Balarama Purnima or Lord Chaitanya's appearance day. Not.
The Lord should smile. That's all. That should be the mood. But it's a mood of bhakti. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. That's the mood. You know the verse? Rupa Goswami's verse, the definition of bhakti. And without being attached to jnana or karma, focusing on that Krishna should be pleased and following the example of those who are Krishna's devotees, exemplary Krishna's devotees, like eternal associate type of quality devotees, following in their footsteps. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. Anyabhilashudushanyam jnana karma janavratam. You should learn the verse. I mean, it's okay that you don't know the Sanskrit, but as you go along, the words have some purpose, they have some power, and it's a very important verse. It's a definition of what bhakti is. So the answer to your question is within that definition. So what should be the mood is your question. That Krishna should be pleased. Now that's a life. So it's not just a festival. It's every day. It's every step and everything we do. It has to be cultivated. No, that reverts back to the prior question of acting in such a way that that state of immersion in Krishna should be pleased is what's inside and what is therefore what comes out. And how one speaks, how one acts, how one chooses to turn left or turn right, or to do this or don't do this or do that, anything. It's the governing principle of our life, or to come to that stage. And that's the festival should be like that, special. And then there's the everyday, then there's special, so it gets highlighted on those special days. And then when you can look forward to those special days and make a plan. This is, it's a little more on the spontaneous as opposed to the regulative side. What will I do when it comes to because Janmashtami is coming. So you make a plan for Janmashtami, something. And whatever that is that you like to do. You're internally preparing yourself for that expression, and then it becomes, just check it out. There's lots of festivals in our Vaishnav calendar. We're party goers from one festival to the next.
Sure. Thank you for answering.
Okay. Krishnarcha, you look very thoughtful. Do you have something you'd like to add?
I was just thinking of the other occasion when Lord Balaram dragged Hastinapur with his plough.
You like that pastime?
Yes.
Yeah. To accentuate, Balaram was particularly partial to Duryodhana. But when he was not received in a way that was appropriate for the disciple and guru relationship, he let it be known, this isn't okay. You're proud of your capital city. Watch this. To teach him a lesson, not like one up him, but to teach him humility, because he's the guru. He's going to teach his shishya to be humble. Okay, I think we're done. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You have something?